Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-da. It's playoff time, folks. This is World of Matchups coming to you guys live and direct from Las Vegas, Nevada. NFL handicapping podcast led by yours truly, Dexter Reed. And on the other side of the glass, my A1 from day one and producer extraordinaire. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Spencer the Wiz. What's up, man? What's going on?
Another year of the playoffs without my favorite team being in there. That's my my first feeling when it comes to today's actions. Unfortunately, everyone else in the division actually got in, so kind of sad.
AFC West has really had a nice year outside of the Raiders, man. But we'll talk about the Raiders later on. We got 6 games. It's Super Wild Card weekend. I think this is the best football weekend of the year. I think we're gonna be treated to some amazing football here. Let's set it off with who? Who do you want to do first?
We'll take the first game of the day. So it's the Chargers and Texans.
That's today.
Yeah, so we'll go in order the
Okay.
best I can, hopefully, if I can. So interesting matchup here. I think the Chargers lucked out, truthfully, right? You're never going to play a bad team in the playoffs unless there's like an injury, right? The year that Derek Carr like snapped his leg. That was an easy matchup for the Texans, ironically. But I mean, like I said, whenever you play a team in the playoffs, they're obviously there for a reason. So if you can handpick a matchup and you were the Chargers and you didn't win the division, playing the Texans is about as good as it gets. Now, the Texans aren't a horrible team by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, Joe Mixon's had a hell of a year. Like, I feel like when you look back on it and you kind of see, especially his production at the end of the season, really impressive. But now they're going up against the best defense in the NFL. I mean, statistically at least. And also, you can just watch them play. You know, they make big plays all the time. Even if Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack aren't even producing, the rest of the defense finds a way. This is only a 3-point line. And honestly, I really like the Chargers. I mean, I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibility. Obviously, the Texans can work it out, but it just feels like a bad matchup for them. A team that's struggled at many points this season. Had a good end of the year, playing some bad teams, but the Chargers are pretty battle tested at this point. They had that huge matchup against the Broncos. That was a hell of a game, man. And now they get the chance. Like, is Houston the scariest place to play ever? Not really. I mean, nothing about this Texans team really excites me. I feel like they lost a lot of momentum from last year. I think a lot of that comes with the sophomore slump. You only go as far as your quarterback play, right? And I don't know. I still like CJ Stroud, right? It's just whenever you get a year of tape on you, it just gets a lot harder. And if anyone's going to take advantage of that, I feel like it's going to be Harbaugh. So I lean very heavily. I like the Chargers a lot. And if I make a teaser ticket today, I'm definitely taking like the 6-point tease on the Chargers. I'm getting a field goal. I'm feeling really excited about that.
Yeah, I like the Chargers a lot here too. I mean, the Houston Texans have really fallen apart this year, but not to the point where you think they're a bad team. They just have not produced at the level that they produced last season. It's really that simple. I think the sophomore slump is a real thing for CJ Stroud. Joe Mixon has been good, but losing Tank Dell absolutely ripped the heart out of this team. That's really the bottom line. And DeMeco Ryans, while he has had a good year coaching, I do not think that this is a team that can go far in the playoffs at all. They drew a tough spot here because the Chargers statistically are probably the best D in the National Football League. Derwin James has had a renaissance. Guys like Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, who have not even produced at high levels, have this team holding teams down. They rush the passer pretty well. They get picks and they get big time plays on defense. Now, Justin Herbert, with one playoff game under his belt that he melted down under in Jacksonville a couple of years ago, I think that's going to be a big time learning curve for him here. I really like the Chargers minus the 3. I like them straight. I like them money line. I like them teaser. I just think they're going to be too much for the Houston Texans here. Literally, what is Houston going to do if they can't run the ball? What are they going to do? You're going to have to be forced to throw, and those guys, those cornerbacks, those safeties, they're just going to pin their heels, and they're going to go after CJ Stroud, who doesn't run a lot. Justin Herbert will still run. I've watched tape on Justin Herbert where he's taken over the field. I don't see why this is only 3 points. Maybe it's just because Houston is at home. But I love the Chargers here a lot, and I see them advancing to the divisional round, going to Kansas City, which They play Kansas City tough, man. Kansas City won 17-10 and 19-17. I mean, it's going to be a defensive struggle if they get past the Houston Texans here, which I think they will. I just can't come up with enough reasons why the Texans can win this game. I just can't. And I can think of a million reasons why the Chargers can win this game. So Spencer and I are in agreement. The Los Angeles Chargers get the right draw here, minus the 3. Put it on tape. This should be a resounding Charger W.
Okay, we're going to jump over to the Steelers and Ravens now. A divisional matchup, and the Ravens are favored by 9.5 points. And look, man, the Steelers obviously have not had a good run at the end of the season. They've had a big losing streak. The moment they hit 10 games, they anchored down and just did nothing since. Kind of a mess. But it's crazy to say that despite everything that I've seen every week being just huge disappointment, I was actually in LA for that last matchup that they played against the Ravens. And I don't know, man. Russell Wilson's making a lot of boneheaded decisions. That scramble he had at the goal line, it's like, you're not going to slide, dude. You're going to get blasted by a safety and fumble the ball, or that scramble at that end of the last game where it's like, just go out of bounds, man. Come on. Like, that you're a veteran quarterback. That's kind of the whole point. And then they waste time on the clock. It's just nothing seems to be going right for them. But this is playoff football, and it's not like playing in Baltimore is scary by any stretch of the imagination. The Raiders went in there and beat them. So when I think about that, and I think about 9.5 points, do I think the Steelers are going to win this game? Not necessarily. It wouldn't be the biggest surprise to me. We've seen Lamar Jackson put up absolute stink fest at home in the playoffs, mind you. Not like away games that everyone expected them to win at home, and they lose. That Steelers defense, man, could just make a crazy play here or there and keep it close. I think 9.5 is way too much for a divisional matchup in the playoffs. This isn't the regular season. These guys are going to be hyped as hell. Give me the 9.5 points. That's way too much for, first of all, a divisional game and also a playoff game, in my opinion.
I'm agreeing with what you are putting down. Earlier this week, I had the Ravens destroying this team earlier this week, but I just did some thinking about it, kind of watched the injury report, went back and looked at their 2 earlier matchups this year, one of which the Steelers did win and played very, very well. 9.5 points, it's a lot of points, man. That's a lot of points. I don't know if it's disrespectful because, the Steelers are falling apart. They have lost their last 4 games, all in egregious fashion. However, this is a division game, and we are playing a Lamar Jackson-led team that is minus Zay Flowers. Guys, this is why you rest your starters. Everyone is mad at Kansas City for not playing their starters, but this is why you rest your starters. Zay Flowers may not play this week. He's not playing this week, and he may not play next week. So now you don't have the field stretcher that you're used to having. Is Rashad Bateman that guy? I'm just not sold on, Mark Andrews moving the ball between the 30s like that. He's a touchdown-dependent guy. They're going to have to run the ball. The Steelers' front four is still good. TJ Watt's still on that team. Alex Highsmith's still on that team. If they could ever get George Pickens going, I'm not saying they can win this game, but I think they can cover the 9. And is there ever been, I'd say the last decade, a coach that wins as an underdog more than Mike Tomlin? If you guys think this team is just going to lay down, I think you're mistaken. I really do. I don't love the Steelers, but 9.5 points, man. That's a touchdown and a field goal to win you money. That's a lot to get the ball rolling versus a very, very good defense. I do like the emergence of Jalen Warren. They haven't been using him. He's the only guy on that entire team with any kind of explosion. If you guys really want to make some money, take all of Jalen Warren's overs today because Najee Harris is a bum. They're going to put Warren out there in space. And I think if they can do that and get anything out of George Pickens, they can cover this 9.5. I like the Steelers today. I'm going to take them, not with a boatload of confidence. I've just seen Lamar Jackson crumble when it comes time for the playoffs. This so-called MVP that you guys love to death, when it comes time for him to put up, he hardly ever does. And they lost to the Raiders at home. Last year, they were the best team in the universe. They lost to the Chiefs in that building. I've seen this before. I've seen it before. And so I'm going to pull and pray, and I'm going to take the Steelers plus 9.5 as well. Like I said, I'm not going to take it with a whole lot of confidence. If you're scared, you can tease this up on a 6-pointer, and I think that will definitely cover. I think the Steelers defense is going to come to play today, and I think it worries me here with Lamar. You know what I mean? Because I've just seen him crumble before in these kinds of spots, and without Zay Flowers, it's going to be tough for them unless they run Derrick Henry all day. If I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm stacking the box. I'm selling out to stop Derrick Henry, and then I'm taking my chances with my secondary. Give me the Steelers plus the 9.5, and let's roll.
All right, we're going to roll into tomorrow's slate of games. The 10 o'clock game is the Denver Broncos. They're going to Buffalo. I just feel like this is a bad time for the the Broncos to meet them. The line of this game
Minus 10.
is
Minus
I
10,
see
isn't it?
I see 8.5.
Oh,
I
wow.
see
It dropped to 8.5. Wow. People believe in this Bronco team.
I
Holy cow.
I do not. I know the Denver Broncos had a really nice end of the season. I just feel like it's fool's gold. I've seen Bo Nix make some really bad decisions, and he's a rookie, so like obviously, for a rookie to go into Buffalo, Buffalo's insanity, right? It's like literally insane. The cold weather isn't going to be a big factor because both of these places are freezing. So obviously, both these teams are going to be ready to play. But I just think the Buffalo Bills are on another level this year. I think Bo Nix could just throws like one or two bad interceptions because he's thrown some really bad balls this year. You can't do that in the playoffs. Uh, now, the Denver Broncos had a much better season than I could have ever imagined. I thought they wouldn't be nearly as good,
Yeah.
but that's what happens when you have a good head coach. I mean, that's
They,
obviously
they've overachieved big time this year.
yeah. And at some point, I think you're just going to hit a wall. They just got a bad draw. Like if the Denver Broncos played the Texans, it'd kind of almost be a coin toss at that point. It might even be a pick 'em if they had to set the line for it. But this is not the Houston Texans. This is a team that shed all the dead weight in the Buffalo Bills. They're healthy as an NFL team can be going into the playoffs. And I just think that the Broncos are kind of running on this high. I think Bo Nix was playing his best football. I think he peaked a little early, which it's hard to say that's his fault for like playing well, but I don't know, man. I just think he's going to have this false confidence going into the game. I just think they're going to punch him in the mouth. I really think that the Buffalo Bills have a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl this year. They have just been steady Eddie all year. They're not really stumbling at any point. I mean, they've never looked better. They got rid of just, the big names, Tre'Davious White and Stephon Diggs, obviously. It's just like, and everyone thought they were going to be terrible, but man, they have two great tight ends. They have a slew of average to above average receivers, and the Chiefs have proven that's really all you need, man. You don't need a top 3 wide receiver. It's nice, obviously, it helps a lot, but man, Josh Allen just makes it happen. And like I really mean to say that like the Buffalo Bills, like they don't have bad wide receivers, not that star player, but even like Mac Hollins, he's like wide receiver 4 for them. That guy can make some plays. So like when he's like down on your depth chart, that tells you about the quality and the depth that this team has. I don't like the Denver Broncos in the spot. I know the line seems big, but man, the Buffalo Bills have proven they can blow the hell out of some teams at home, man. And they just that first round of the playoffs, man, they just seem to have it. So I'm a big fan of the Buffalo Bills here, especially on a teaser.
This is my best bet.
Mm.
This is my best bet of the weekend. And I know you guys are going to think I'm crazy because 8.5 is a ton of points. I don't care. The Denver Broncos have overachieved, and they shot their load getting into the playoffs. Their player book was wide open versus a Kansas City-led, team that was playing third stringers and practice squad players. Okay, so you get into the playoffs for the first time in 9 years. Fine. And you're all galvanized and excited. Fine. And yes, you do have a good defense that can rush the passer. I agree with all those things. However, like Spencer alluded to, what you're walking into is not something you've seen all year. You guys have to understand what is at play here. Think Jordan the year that he beat the Pistons. That's what this is going to be like for the Buffalo Bills when they go into Kansas City for the AFC Championship game. That's it. And I'm telling you right now, if they beat the Chiefs, they are winning the Super Bowl. This is the best the Buffalo Bills have looked in about 15 years. And if they don't win it this year, they're never going to win it. And for those of you that know anything about real home field advantages, go to Highmark Stadium versus a team that the Bills hate and get back to me. They are going to annihilate this Denver team. And like Spencer alluded to, they don't have any real great players outside of Josh Allen and James Cook. They just have good players. They took a page out of the Kansas City coaching tree. You get rid of Tyreek Hill, you get a bunch of little ancillary players who are good players but not great players, and you can win Super Bowls. Well, that's what they did. They got rid of Stephon Diggs, and they just brought in a bunch of guys, Dalton Kincaid, sprinkling Dawson Knox. They just have guys. You bring over Amari Cooper, who's done absolutely nothing, but he's there. He's there.
He's the kind of guy who will make a big
He's
play in like
there
a Super
when you
Bowl game.
need
You
him
know what I
to.
mean?
He'll
Yeah.
do something big. He's there. The Curtis Samuels of the world, the Matt Hollins of the world. They draft a guy. I mean, all of a sudden, it's just they're cooking with gas. This is a team that can score. And you would think that their Achilles heel would be their defense because they get rid of guys like Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer. They just released these older guys. Guys, they got better. DeMar Hamlin's actually a thing. They got better, guys. If you go to Buffalo and beat Buffalo in Buffalo, you can win anywhere. You can win anywhere. And I just don't see it happening for Denver. How are they going to score? How are they going to score? This is what I know. Go look at rookie quarterbacks going on the road in the playoffs and get back to me. That's all I needed to know about this game. I will lay that 8.5 with confidence. I think the Buffalo Bills win this game 31-13, and they take on the Baltimore Ravens if the Ravens are lucky enough to get out of that. And I think they're going to win that game, and I think they're going to go to Kansas City and then flip a coin. Guys, this is Bills Mafia's time. If the Kansas City Chiefs get past Bills Mafia, they're going to three-peat because that's the Super Bowl. The best game of the year will be Bills Chiefs in Arrowhead. Write it down. But for all intents and purposes, this week, I am taking the Bills minus the 8.5, and I'm going to Sizzler afterward because I feel so confident about this game. It's not even funny. To me, Denver has no chance of winning this game.
All right, now we have the 1:30 game. It's the Green Bay Packers going to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is 5-point favorites. This is a tough game to call. This is probably the game of the weekend to me. These are two teams that feel like they can go to the Super Bowl, to be honest with you, and they're playing in the first round. Christian Watson obviously is out with the ACL. Like looking down the injury list, both teams, I would say, for the most part, are kind of healthy. Now, Jair Alexander, obviously, that's a big one that they're going to be missing. The Eagles are healthy, man. I mean, you're always going to have at least one starter is going to be down, but their injury list is not long. It's not a long list. And they have, especially in the secondary where they have a little bit of missing, they have two rookies who are damn good. So when I think about it like that, man, like if they had Christian Watson, I feel like it'd be a little bit different. This is going to be a close game. This is going to be a hell of a game. I think whoever just is at home is going to win. Like it kind of feels like that. Like the home field advantage is just going to tip one way or the other. Two teams that have some of the best home field advantage in football. Wow, it's almost a coin flip. I'm staying away from this when it comes to betting for sure. I think I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers plus the 5. I just feel like this is a field goal game. Oh, I don't know. Jordan Love's throwing some pretty bad interceptions here and there, but he has a lot of experience in the playoffs now. The Eagles do too. These two teams are on the same trajectory. It's crazy that they ended up landing against each other. What do you even really say? Saquon Barkley's like super rested. They're going to give him the ball 25 times in this game. But like I said, I think this is a field goal game, and you can even throw it either way, the field goal. So I'm going to take the plus points. It's not something I feel extremely confident on. It's just more the fact that if I feel like it's that much of a coin flip, I'm just going to take the plus points at that level.
Earlier this week, it was Packers plus the 4.5. That's where I was leaning. And then Christian Watson is out for the season, and he's going to be out for a while. He's made of glass. We all know this. But then I really thought about it. I'm like, Jalen Hurts' eggs are scrambled, but he's been out for a while, man. And this is what I do know: as dumb of a coach as Nick Sirianni is, I don't think he's dumb enough to put his blue chip quarterback out there if he really is not ready to spin. And so it sounds like he's ready. He's passed the concussion protocol and he's going to start, which means everything is open. The playbook is open. You're not worrying about seating or anything like that. You're literally just you're home, you're rested, and you're playing to now go as far as you can, potentially get back to a Super Bowl, which all of these things to me add up to a resounding Philadelphia W. I mean, like Buffalo, this is a very difficult place to play. I mean, this is a you fear for your life when you go there. I had a friend of mine who went to a Minnesota playoff game there a couple of years ago, and literally said he would never go back. He said he felt like he needed security to get back to the vehicle that they had rented. Seriously, I mean, these people are savages. They're savage, dude. Philadelphia, it's a different. There's certain cities in the United States. They're just different, man. New Yorkers, you know what I mean? I'm a New Yorker. We're just who we are, man. We're different, dude. People from Philadelphia, they're just different. And if you're not from there, don't go there. You know what I mean? And if you do go there, don't start acting out. Don't start showing out. You know what I mean? Like it ain't safe. I mean, they turned on Santa Claus. They threw batteries at Santa Claus. Like they'll fight Nick Sirianni. Like these people are crazy. And so you're gonna have to not only battle the team, you gotta battle the elements, and then you gotta battle the fans. I just think it's too much for a banged up Jordan Love, no deep threat. I mean, it's a lot of points because Green Bay, yeah, they can score, but yes, they're out. They're without Jair Alexander, who, man, I'm telling you, I would just release this guy. He's never on the field. The best ability is availability, and Jair Alexander is never on the field. We are still talking about Jair Alexander holding down Jay Jettis from 2 years ago. Guys, we got to stop being prisoners of what happened in the past. The guy's never around. And I think A.J. Brown eats. Saquon has been rested. They're going to give him the ball a million times. And the Eagles' defense is as solid a defense as you're going to find. I do have some tickets with Packers plus 4.5, so I'm hedging my bets here. But that was earlier in the week, man. That was Monday. That was Tuesday. It's a Saturday, man. This game is tomorrow. I feel so strongly that the Eagles are going to beat this team up, man. They're just not there. They're just not good enough. Yes, Tucker Kraft is good. Yes, Josh Jacobs is good. Yes, Romeo Dobbs is good. Yes, Jaden Reed is good. They have weapons, and this game could be close. I think the best bet here, Spencer, is just Eagles money line. It's not going to pay a ton, but if you just want to win, you know what I mean? Or if you're loaded, you're going to spend 100 to win 75, 80. But I just can't see the Eagles losing this game. And if they do lose this game, Nick Sirianni is gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
Gone. He might be gone if they win the Super Bowl. They hate him. Let's be honest. They win despite him. And so I like the Eagles. I like the Eagles a lot here. Lincoln Financial is just a tough place to play for anyone, man. And the Packers, they're limping in. It's a tough spot for them to go week one. It's a lot different than when they went to San Francisco last year. You know what I mean? Or when they beat up on the Cowboys in the playoffs last year. This ain't that, man. Guys, this Eagles defense is relentless. It really is. And if you don't know, now you know. Eagles -5 from World of Matchups on this side.
All right. Last game of that day. We have 2 more games remaining. It's the Washington Commanders going to Tampa Bay. Really a random game. I don't know. It doesn't feel real for whatever reason to me. It just seems like these two teams have never played each other before. Kind of a random matchup, but yeah, Tampa Bay, they're going to win this game. I mean, they're field goal favorites. I'm sorry. They're at home. They got healthy. And when they got healthy at the end of the season, they went right back on track. Just that little stumble there. And they won 10 games too, by the way.
Wow.
A little stumble in the middle of the season. And then they were back, man. Even that last week where it looked like, oh, they're behind a little bit, and then Baker Mayfield's just different, man. This guy should be an MVP candidate.
He's a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. No one can talk me off this.
He actually, by the way, I think should be like in the top 3 of MVP candidates. Take it, 4,500 yards even, 41 touchdowns. Come on, Those are MVP. 41 touchdowns is insane. That's
No,
crazy. And he was without some of his best weapons for
he
like
didn't have Chris Godwin for half the season.
Mike
Nobody
Evans
can
was
talk
out
me.
for a while.
Yeah,
Dude, this
four
guy,
games.
man, he had a hell of a season. And
And,
those rookie quarterbacks on the road, dude. And I know he's first of all, he had a really good season for sure, man. Like he had a very special season, no doubt about it. But dude, this Tampa Bay team is operating on a different level.
mhm.
The Eagles do not want to see a team like Tampa Bay in the
I've been
playoffs.
saying this all year, bro. I've been
This
saying
is
it all year.
this is one of those teams where like, they're not going to win the Super Bowl, and then when you play
Mhm.
them, you
Yep.
start sweating a little bit. That bead of sweat starts coming down because then it's not about it. When it comes to NFL playoffs, you got to beat them, man. It's like that one game at a time. Just because the team doesn't seem from an outside perspective like they're dangerous, you still got to go in and you got to play the game. They are solid from top to bottom. They have moxie. And I just don't think I think this Washington team is just a little bit too young to take it. This is good. This is great experience for them. They fought really hard to get to the playoffs,
Mhm.
but this is a team that has been there. Baker Mayfield is now a seasoned veteran when it comes to playoff games. And I think they're just going to be ready to go, man. I think Tampa Bay is going to be a hell of a home field advantage for them. And I think just a field goal is not enough. I think this should be a
Mhm.
3.5 point line. So
Mhm.
this is definitely one of my favorite bets this week right here is Tampa Bay.
Yeah, this is my second favorite bet of the slate by far and away. I think this should be a 4.5, home spread for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who number one, I just said it, I'm gonna say it again, man. I'll say it with my chest. Baker Mayfield's a top 5 quarterback in this league. Period. You can go argue with a wall.
Shout out to the Cleveland Browns, by the way.
Okay.
Deshaun Watson ruptures his Achilles again in the offseason. That is the Cleveland Browns organization
Couldn't happen
right
to a
there.
better person, dude. I'm telling
He's
you
like the
right
next
now.
version of like Rich Gannon almost. I don't know. I can't even explain it, but not exactly the same, but just like, he leaves the team and just ascends to another
Just
level.
blows up.
Yeah.
My mom taught me this. She said she always say, DJ, some people's hands you have to hold a little longer. And that's Baker Mayfield, man. You see, you got to understand something in NFL, guys. Where you land matters. Where Patrick
Big
Mahomes
time.
landed, it matters. If Patrick Mahomes landed in Carolina, would he
Or
still be?
Chicago.
Would he? I'm telling you, it matters. And Baker Mayfield has landed in the right spot with the right coach and the right players, and those guys will go to war for him. They will run through a wall for him. And I think when you piggyback this off of how they ended that game last week, getting Mike Evans his bonus money, and now you're going into the playoffs on fire versus a team that literally has one solid wide receiver that you can trust and a rookie quarterback. This is Bucks -3 all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. Bucky Irving is a top 10 running back. You can't talk me off this. They only have to worry about keeping their defense in check. Put a spy on JD and just keep your eyes focused, and you will win this game going away. Let me tell you something. There's 2 teams right now that a lot of these higher seeding teams don't want to see. The Buccaneers are one, and the Rams are the other. Let either of these teams win this weekend, guys. I'm telling you, take them in the points next weekend because they are coming for blood. For blood. Mike Evans is going to have a huge game. Jalen McMillan is as good as advertised. I already told you about Bucky. I mean, they have even their backups are playing at a high level, guys. Look, and when it breaks down and that pocket breaks down, Baker Mayfield is taking off. Go look at what Baker Mayfield has done with his legs, Spencer, in the last 3 weeks. He's running as much as anyone. He's running like he's Michael Vick out there. He is not waiting. He is taking off and getting first downs and keeping the clock moving and keeping the chains moving. This is a resounding Bucks W. I will be absolutely floored if the Washington Commanders find a way to win this game. They are just running into the wrong team. And it's good. It's good experience for Jaden Daniels. They're going to come back stronger next year. Let them go sign T. Higgins. Now you have Scary Terry and T. Higgins. Let them draft another. They've got Ben Sinnott behind Zach Ertz. They're not far away. Dan Quinn has done an amazing job with this team. But this is not the weekend to bet them, I'm telling you. -3 is not enough. I love the Bucks here, and I love them big.
All right, last game. It's a Monday Night Football. Right at 5 o'clock. It's the Minnesota Vikings. They are playing the LA Rams. This is only a 2.5-point spread. Oh, man. I'm going to take the Rams. I just think they're operating on another level. Jimmy Garoppolo comes in last week with like all the third stringers, and they still look good, man. They almost beat the Seahawks. And that's just kind of nuts to me. Dude, this team can make a real run. It's another one of those teams, just like the Bucks, where you're like, the Rams aren't going to win the Super Bowl, and then you see them on the schedule, and you got to play them, and you're just like, oh man, you got to beat them. You got to beat them. You know, they're healthy now. Silently in the background, they got healthy. Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua is going to catch 15 footballs a game, and then Cooper Kupp is going to catch a crazy touchdown in the end zone, and suddenly it's like 21-13, and you're like, crap, you're going into the fourth quarter and you got to get stops, and you're scared because the LA Rams, man, they just know how to move the football. Obviously, they have one of the best football minds. Then they have a hell of a quarterback who's just steady Eddie, man. A guy who has obviously incredible playoff experience now. I mean, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, no doubt about it. And Sam Darnold, to his credit, has had a really good season, but there's sometimes, especially in that Lions game, they should have won that game against the Lions, by the way. Plenty of opportunities. Sam Darnold just he just missed some balls in the red zone. And that's how you win Super Bowls. You know, those red zone stands, you make that really, I mean, first of all, some of the throws he just whiffed on. That little fade in the back of the end zone to Justin Jefferson, that should be 7. I mean, they left about 21 points on the board. So, like, the score was not indicative, really, of the game. And the Lions just kept putting their hand in the cookie jar, and they just, the Vikings couldn't execute. And when I think about it like that, and I try to apply it to the playoffs, and you're playing a Rams team who does not matter, right? They can go through and win road games all the time. It's kind of like that Giants team, man, who they come into the wild card, and suddenly they start building their way up. And this is again, a very favorable matchup for them. I mean, if you can handpick a team to play in the first round as a wild card team, yeah, I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings. And, Sam Darnold could be the future Raiders quarterback next year, by the way. We'll have to see what they decide. A tough decision. I mean, if I had told you after watching Sam Darnold play for the Jets that at some point in his career he's going to have a 4,300-yard season with 35 touchdowns, you'd call me insane. But he did it, man. But he has one of the best offensive minds in football to match up with him. He just kind of makes the right throws here and there. I just think things get a lot more tight when the playoffs come around, and I just don't know if he's ready for it. Doesn't have playoff experience, man. He's been bad his whole career, except for literally right now. So we'll see what happens, but I'm going to lean towards the Rams in this matchup.
I love the Rams. I've been singing the praises of the Rams now for weeks. Spencer will tell you guys, I've been on the Rams for a while, man, and so I'm not going to come off them now. I do think it's sad that this game is being moved to State Farm Stadium in Arizona because the home field advantage that the Rams would have had would really propel them to winning this game. You know what I mean? I really like Rams money line earlier in the week, but sadly half of California is on fire, and thoughts and prayers and shouts out to firefighters who are out there helping out, and to all those people who have lost their homes. It's an absolute tragedy, and I'll stop talking about that because I don't want to get political about it. But the Rams now are going to be the home team versus a very galvanized Minnesota-led team that knows that they left a lot of points on the field versus the Lions. I mean, they really had no shot at winning that game, Spencer. That was the biggest game in Lions, maybe the last 50 years for the Detroit Lions in their building. You're not winning that game. And, when you have a fourth down defense, red zone defense that the Lions were playing, I mean, Sam Darnold missed easy throws. Let's be honest. He was throwing the ball high. I mean, look, I know Jets likes him and wants to keep him, but you can tell the frustration that was on his face because I'm like, dude, just throw the ball to me. Don't throw it over my head. I got a DB. I got 2-3 inches on. Come on, stop. Like, I'm Jay Jettas. I'll get it. But that's not what was happening. And Sam Darnold kind of had a deer in headlights look a lot of that night. Now you're taking that again on the road to a team that everyone expects you to beat, that everyone doesn't think is really that good. And I'm here to tell you, man, the Rams are going to be ready. Kyron Williams is the most underrated running back in the National Football League. And I don't care that he's little. This guy gets the job done. Puka Nacua is like Pac-Man. You can just throw this guy a million targets. And he literally is like a linebacker playing wide receiver. And people sleep on Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's not washed. You guys are crazy.
He's just playing like opposite of like one of the greatest wide receivers we've ever seen.
You think Cooper Kupp is washed? You're out of your mind. Cooper Kupp has a ring. Cooper Kupp is a generational route runner. Cooper Kupp is one of the best wide receivers in the history of the National Football League. This is a Triple Crown winner. You guys are bugging. And Matthew Stafford is the toughest quarterback in the league, not named Mahomes. And I know he's 36, but as long as they can keep him upright, he'll get you the ball. This is a seasoned veteran, guys. This is Sean McVay, the second best head coach in the league. Put some respect on this team's name. This is a team that won a Super Bowl 3 years ago, retooled, and haven't missed a beat. Think about that. Some teams win a Super Bowl. Look at Denver. 9 years before they get back in the playoffs. The Rams, like it's no big deal. Guys, this is a team that lost Aaron Donald to retirement. And they have retooled. Fisk, Verse. Guys, you're bugging if you think that this team is going to roll over and die. Their defense is better than advertised. Am I worried about their cornerbacks? Yes. I'd be worried about their cornerbacks if I was any team versus Jay Jettas. But that front four can get to Sam Darnold. They can. And they will. And they will. I feel like a closet Rams fan. I've been singing their praises all week long. Let this Rams team win this game, guys, and you're never going to hear the end of it. This is a team that nobody wants to see. I don't care what happened in the regular season. Last year, the Eagles mopped up Tampa in the regular season in Tampa. And then what happened Monday night in the playoffs? Someone please tell me. Stop it. You guys got to stop being prisoners of the moment and not be scared. Everyone is telling you Minnesota. Why? This is the same kind of Minnesota team that lost to Daniel Jones and the Giants in their building. Don't make me throw my iPod across the room right now. Rams plus 2.5 with my chest.
I'm going to go back and retrospectively say that the Bucks are my best bet this week. I think that's going to be my I see no way that they lose at home against a young team like that.
Zero. If it wasn't for Josh Allen, they'd be my best bet as well. There's no way they're losing that game. Guys, I feel so confident some of these winners. I feel like I just slammed 2 Red Bulls. I'm ready for NFL. I am so ready for the NFL, man. Like I haven't been this hyped to watch football and my team be on a bye in years. I cannot wait. Parting shots.
I guess I'll talk about the Raiders for a second. Another year, another clean sweep. Crazy, man. But you know what? I've been really thinking about it. Honestly, I'm a little disappointed that Tom Telesco got put. And at first they said he was staying, and then like something happened. Obviously, like I saw there was a report to say that he was staying, and he had a great draft, man. He hit 1, 2, 3. He got 3 starters in the first 3 rounds. It's hard to do, man. That's really hard to do. But you know, a lot of people say he shouldn't let Josh Jacobs go. I don't know. I honestly don't care. I don't think Josh Jacobs was the difference between this team winning and losing this year. He made a great deal to get Devontae Adams off the team. I mean, incredible. They got a 3rd round pick and he got the money off too. $0 for the Raiders. And they have like the 2nd most cap space going into next year. I thought he did a good job of shuffling the team around, but the guy obviously struggles when it comes to getting head coaches. I mean, that's been his mark of his entire career. So that side I was a little disappointed on, to be honest with you. But obviously Tom Brady wants to bring in his guy. I mean, from all the reports, it seems like Tom Brady is really kind of the head executive. And it wouldn't surprise me if he takes over the GM role, if I'm being completely honest with you. We'll have to see how that plays out. But when it comes to AP, this is what I'll say. The guys love him, obviously. Okay. And you can have a head coach that's not an X's and O's guy, in my opinion. But if you're not going to be an X's and O's guy, you got to be able to have the highest disciplined team like in the NFL. That's what makes Dan Campbell so special. The guys love him just like AP. So it feels very similar. But the Lions play some of the most disciplined football in the entire National Football League. The two go hand in hand. They love him, and he instills discipline within them. The Raiders did not play disciplined football all season long. And when I see something like that, and you see the head coaches that you're competing against in the AFC West, it's just not good enough for the guys to like you. There's got to be a higher level. Obviously the team has struggled to find an offensive coordinator. The team still doesn't have a quarterback. This is the year, I suppose. Like one of the biggest problems you'll see with a new GM and a new head coach is that they inherit a quarterback, right? And you could do that again. Another year rolls by. AP sucks. They draft a quarterback this year, obviously, somewhere. I don't know where that's going to happen, but they are. And then he gets fired, and the head coach has a new quarterback and a new GM that they didn't draft. So if you're going to put a new head coach and a new GM together, at the very least, the guys get to come together and pick their guy right off the bat. So when I think about it like that, it's good. It's like, you're cutting it off what seems a little bit early, but you know what? If you're going to do it, just do it. Be a man. You're doing it early in the off season. It feels a little gross now, but you're going to forget about it really quickly. And I hope they make the right decision when it comes to the new regime. I'm not an expert. People always say, I want this GM to come in this one. I don't really know anything about NFL GMs like most people don't. It's going to be a guy's name who did something in an organization, and you just have to wait and see what happens. You know what I mean? But obviously, when it comes to head coach, I'd love to have Mike Vrabel. There's the connection there with Tom Brady. I think he's along the same lines of a coach that everyone loves, but this guy actually has a mind for it. And you want to bring in, I think the problem last year when it came to the offensive coordinator position, which is so important, they just saw AP there, and all these offensive coordinators are like, I don't know, man. Like, I like the guy. I think everyone likes him. He's a really likable dude. He's a really good dude, too, first of all. But they're like, he's an inexperienced head coach, so I really want to attach myself as an offensive coordinator to this guy. Probably not. And also, part of the benefit for the Raiders here, to make it even more enticing for them, Ben Johnson says he wants more of a GM type of role when he's the head coach, and now it's open. You know what I mean? So, Ben Johnson can probably bring in a GM that he likes, more of as like an assistant GM, and the two can work together. So I think they're trying to make the job as enticing as possible. And if you can bring him in and you tell him, hey, man, we'll trade up for the quarterback that you want, or even just hold out like a Jackson Dart kind of guy, I think that's a good matchup for them. So still a weird spot for the Raiders, man. They're in such – this is one of the most important off seasons in team history where they have all this cap space, all the positions are wide open, which could be good if they fill it out correctly. So we'll have to see. Very, very interesting time for the organization, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. This is a very, very interesting time for the league because you basically have your haves and your have-nots. I mean, you have your playoff teams right now, and your have-nots are teams that are kind of scrambling. There's a lot of things that have happened since you and I got on the mic recently, and boy, stuff is moving at an alarming rate in the NFL. I mean, my parting shots, I've got just a couple teams I'm thinking about. Like, if you're the Jets here, man, like, guys, you got to rip this Band-Aid off. I'm sorry, like, Aaron Rodgers has to go. Listen, guys, as long as Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback of the New York Jets, you guys are never winning anything.
That panic buy for Devontae Adams is going to be one of the worst decisions they have ever made. That's one of the
worst decisions you'll ever make. Aaron Rodgers, you got to get this guy off the team. I don't know who's going to be your quarterback, but it can't be him. Giants, listen, you guys played yourself by winning a couple games down the stretch.
That's crazy.
When you had the number one pick. Now,
the Drew Lock 45-point game, man, is going to haunt that team forever.
Guys, if you're going to stink, just stink. The fans are going to still be there. Big Blue is a solid franchise. They have rings. They got fans. What are you doing, man? This is a rebuilding year. Stop winning. I do think you could still find your way into Cam Ward. Cross your fingers, pull and pray, because you need a quarterback in the worst way. Tennessee Titans, well done. Well done. You know what I mean? You guys all of a sudden now have L'Jarius Sneed, who's coming back. You draft Skoronski a couple of years ago. Now we have a chance to go out and get Shedeur Sanders, who I think is a bit overrated, but you need a quarterback because mayonnaise-eating Will Levis is absolutely horrendous. You have the first pick. Use it wisely. Vegas, guys, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you firing Tom Telesco? Honestly, why are you firing Antonio Pierce? What are you doing? Like, guys, it's not like there is a bevy of general managers and head coaches out there for you to choose from.
I feel like they're going to bring in
What do
either Mike Vrabel or
you?
Pete Carroll.
Mike
I think
Vrabel is going to the Patriots, guys. They would not have fired Gerard Mayo the way they did. Mike Vrabel will be a Patriot. And then you're left with no one. I mean, you guys are embarrassing the AFC West. Denver's really good. Kansas City, even when they regress after winning a third Super Bowl in a row and everyone leaves, will still be a tough team because Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are there. Now the Chargers, they get Harbaugh. They've got a lot going for them. What are you guys doing? Seriously, like, look, you have to give these guys a chance, man. And I just gotta say this, man. You guys take this however you want, man. These black head coaches are getting raw deals left and right.
Oh man, Gerard Mayo I think got
Gerard
really raw
Mayo,
into the
Antonio
deal, man.
Pierce,
What was he
David
supposed to
Culley,
do this
Lovie
season?
Smith. Stop, guys. Stop. And let's not act like this is not happening. Okay, you're in an elevator and someone farted. Don't act like someone didn't fart. You know that this is happening throughout the league. These black head coaches are getting a raw deal. It needs to stop. If you're not going to bring the guy in and give him time to cook the dinner, why are you even letting him buy the groceries for? Don't hire him and let him bag someone else's groceries because this is retarded. We got to stop with this, man. The NFL, it's bad. It's bad with the black head coaches, man. And I get that you want Vrabel in there because Vrabel is going to go the Doug Peterson route, sit for a year, and then be highly coveted and get a huge contract and then have all the control. I get it. I understand. But it doesn't make it okay. Doesn't make it okay. World of Matchups, bringing the heat every week, guys. This is what me and Spencer do every Saturday morning. We are breaking down the NFL playoffs, Super Wild Card Weekend in all its splendor. Next week is the divisionals. We'll bring to you in all its glory. Enjoy the games. Try not to lose your bankroll. Try not to lose your wife's wedding ring. Try not to get kicked out of your apartment. We do this for fun. Fun. Okay? He's a teacher. I'm a waiter. We're not rich. So don't go broke trying to win the lottery here on a game that is thoroughly flawed, especially when the refs get involved. Until next week, my name is Dexter Reed. That is Spencer the Wiz. Enjoy the games, guys, and we are out.
See you next time.